My name is Leela Mercer, and I was 34 years old when my mother rang my doorbell after 8 years of returning every photograph I had ever mailed of my son. She stood on my porch in a cream sweater, holding a manila envelope and wearing the same careful church smile she used at funerals, graduations, and anywhere people might be watching. She did not ask how Owen was. She did not ask what grade he was in. She did not ask if he still had the dimple in his left cheek or if he still slept with the blue dinosaur blanket she returned unopened when he was 3 months old. She said, "We need to talk about his trust fund. His trust fund." 8 years of red return to sender stamps. 8 years of birthday photos mailed back in their original envelopes. 8 years of my parents pretending my son was not part of their family. And suddenly, my mother was on my porch asking about money that belonged to the child she refused to know. What she did not know was that I had kept every envelope. 19 of them. Ultrasound photos, birth announcement, first steps, kindergarten picture, little league photo, every one labeled by date and stacked inside a blue fireproof box in my bedroom closet. She brought one envelope with a withdrawal form inside. I brought 19 envelopes with her handwriting on them. And by the end of that week, in a lawyer's conference room with my parents, my sister, and a bank officer watching, my mother would hear exactly what those returned photos were worth. Before I tell you what happened next, welcome back to Hush and Tell Stories. If you have ever been erased by people who came back only when money appeared, this story is for you. Tell me in the comments who showed up for you when there was nothing to gain, and subscribe if quiet truth is the kind of story you understand. Let me take you back to the house on Dogwood Lane, where I learned early that love had a preferred daughter. My father, Calvin Mercer, sold insurance and believed reputation was a second bank account. My mother, Marlene, taught Sunday school, chaired charity luncheons, and could make a command sound like concern. My younger sister, Whitney, was 4 years behind me and somehow always first in line. First to be forgiven. First to be believed. First to receive the benefit of every doubt. I was the steady one. That was what Dad called me when I sorted renewal forms in his office after school. That was what Mom called me when I watched Whitney while she attended committee meetings. That was what relatives called me when I paid for my own school supplies because Leela understands. Steady sounded like praise, until I realized it meant no one expected to carry me. I went to Georgia State on financial aid and studied accounting because numbers were the only language in my life that did not change tone depending on who was listening. Assets, liabilities, cash flow, debt. A number could be ugly, but it did not smile while lying. I met Noah Bell during my second year in Atlanta. He was a paramedic, 23, warm in a way I did not trust at first because warmth in my family usually came before a request. Noah listened. He called his mother every Sunday. He fixed broken things without announcing sacrifice. His mother, June, worked at a pediatric clinic and fed everyone who entered her kitchen like hunger was a personal insult. My parents disliked him before he had a chance to be known. At the first dinner, my father asked what paramedics made. My mother asked whether he planned to stay in emergency work forever. Whitney asked if ambulances smelled gross. Noah answered politely. Later, in the car, he said, "Your house is very clean," and that was all. He had understood everything. We married at the courthouse when I was 26. June cried through the ceremony. My parents did not come. Mom said it was too sudden, even though she had known the date for 5 months. Dad said he had a client meeting. Whitney sent 3 champagne emojis and no words. 3 days later, Mom called to say people were asking questions. Why we were not there, why you rushed it, why you married someone none of us really know. I told her, "Mom, I am happy." She said, "Happiness is not the same as wisdom, Leela." That was how she spoke about my marriage, like it was a bad investment she expected to fail. Noah died 11 months later on a wet road in February, 6 weeks before our son was born. A driver crossed the center line on Highway 29. Noah was off duty, coming home from a 12-hour shift with soup in the passenger seat because I had been too sick to cook. A police officer told me it was instant, as if instant was a blanket big enough to cover a widowed pregnant woman standing barefoot in a hallway. June arrived first. She came in, held me, put both hands on my stomach and said, "Then we will hold you both." My parents came the next morning. My mother brought a casserole. My father looked around the apartment like he was assessing damage. After the funeral, while Noah's coworkers told stories in June's living room, Mom pulled me into the hallway. "You need to come home before the baby comes." I told her I was home. She said, "No, with us. This whole situation is too much." I said, "This whole situation is my husband dying." She lowered her voice. "Do not be dramatic. I am trying to protect you." I asked from what. She glanced toward the living room. "From raising a Bell child by yourself." "A Bell child, not my child, not her grandson, a Bell child." "His name is Owen Noah Bell," I said, "and I am not changing that to make the story easier for you." My mother stared at me as if I had embarrassed her in public, even though we were alone. "Then do not expect us to explain this to everyone. You don't have to explain him, you just have to love him." She looked away. Love is not the issue. But it was. It always was. Owen was born on a rainy Tuesday morning. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, dark hair, Noah's mouth, and a cry so offended by life that the nurse laughed. June was in the delivery room because she had been at every appointment. My mother was invited. She said she had a charity luncheon and that hospitals made her faint. I sent the first photo when Owen was 2 hours old. Me holding him against my chest, his tiny fist tucked under his chin. Caption, "He's here, Owen Noah Bell." Mom replied 2 days later, "Glad you are both safe." Dad sent a thumbs up emoji. Whitney wrote, "Cute, June Prin." Ted the photo and framed it before we left the hospital. When Owen was 1 month old, I mailed my parents a birth announcement. Cream cardstock, tiny blue footprints, his full name, his weight, his birth date. I wrote a note by hand. "I know this has been hard. I hope you will want to know him. Love, Leela." The envelope came back 12 days later. Returned to sender. No note, no explanation, just red ink across my son's name. I stood in the mailroom with Owen asleep against my chest and told myself it was a mistake. At 3 months, I mailed a photo of him on the blue dinosaur blanket June had bought. Returned. At 6 months, a Thanksgiving picture. Returned. At 1 year, a birthday photo with frosting in his hair. Returned. At 18 months, a picture of him asleep in Noah's old Braves sweatshirt. Returned. That one hurt so badly I sat on the kitchen floor with the unopened envelope in my lap until June found me. She picked it up, read my mother's handwriting, and said, "Keep them." I asked why. She said, "Because one day someone will ask what happened. Grief lies when it gets lonely. Paper doesn't." So I bought a blue fireproof box and started keeping them. Item 1, birth announcement returned. Item 2, 3-month photo returned. Item 3, Thanksgiving photo returned. I did not keep sending photos because I was begging. Not after the first year. I sent 1 or 2 each year because if Owen ever asked, I wanted to say I tried. I wanted proof that the door had been opened before it was locked from the other side. For 8 years, my parents lived 25 minutes away and never met my son. They missed first steps, first words, first fever, first day of school, first lost tooth. They missed him naming every dinosaur in his picture book. They missed him asking why the moon followed our car. They missed the way he ran to June every Sunday yelling, "Grandma Junie," like she was a parade. June became the grandmother my mother refused to be. She kept pajamas at her house. She came to school plays, dentist appointments, little league games, and one awful stomach virus weekend when both of us cried at 3 in the morning because there were no clean towels left. She was stubborn. She overfed him. She believed ginger ale fixed everything. But she showed up. People think children need perfect adults. They do not. They need adults who arrive. My parents did not arrive. The closest they came was the Father's Day drawing Owen made in kindergarten for the grandpa I don't know. I almost did not mail it. June said, "Send it if you can survive the answer." It came back opened. The flap had been sliced neatly, then taped shut again. The drawing was inside. A stick figure with gray hair and a baseball cap beside a smaller figure labeled me. Someone had looked. Someone had held my son's drawing, then mailed it away. I labeled it slowly. Item 18, Father's Day drawing. Opened, viewed, returned. I did not cry that day. That scared me more than crying would have. Numbness is not peace. It is pain holding its breath. By then, Owen's trust existed, but almost nobody knew the details. After Noah's death, there had been a wrongful death settlement with the other driver's insurance company, Noah's life insurance through the county, and a small inheritance from Noah's grandfather that June insisted should go straight to Owen. I did not touch any of it. Not for rent, not for childcare, not even when my car needed a transmission, and I ate peanut butter sandwiches for 2 weeks to afford the repair. June introduced me to an attorney named Betrayal Holland, a calm woman with silver glasses and a voice that made every crisis feel like a file she had already organized. Betrayal helped create the Owen Noah Bell Irrevocable Trust. Initial funding, $612,000. I remember the number because money like that does not feel like luck. It feels like a receipt from a tragedy. The trust was for Owen's education, medical care, and long-term benefit. June and Betrayal were co-trustees until Owen turned 25. I was not trustee by my own choice. I was his mother. I did not want anyone, including myself, confusing my grocery budget with my son's future. My parents knew only the outline. A settlement, a trust, money for Owen. I never told them the balance. In a normal family, money for a child who lost his father would be sacred ground. In mine, I knew sacred ground had to be fenced. For years, the trust sat quietly, growing. Betrayal sent annual statements. I read them every January, filed them, and went back to packing Owen's lunch. Then Whitney's husband bought the marina. Grant Pritchard had the confidence of a man who believed saying investor made him one. He convinced my sister and my parents that an old boat rental place on Lake Hartwell was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Nobody involved understood marinas, payroll taxes, insurance, or the cost of a dock that had been rotting for 10 years. For 6 months, photos appeared online. Whitney on a dock, Grant shaking hands, my mother posting proud of our next chapter. Then the posts stopped. Then Whitney stopped updating. Then my mother started viewing my LinkedIn profile. That sounds small. It was not. Over 3 weeks, I got 6 private profile views from Hartwell, Georgia. Around the same time, Betrayal called. Has anyone contacted you about Owen's trust? No. Why? Someone called my office asking whether a grandparent could request an emergency family disbursement from a minor's trust. My hand tightened around the phone. Who? They did not give a name. My receptionist said it was an older woman with a Georgia number. She asked if a trust could loan money to family if the family had supported the child emotionally. I laughed once, not because it was funny, because the body sometimes chooses the wrong sound to avoid screaming. Supported him emotionally. Yes, Betrayal, my parents have never met him. I know, she said, that is why I called. After we hung up, I opened the blue box and laid the returned envelopes on my bed in order. 19 white rectangles of refusal. Owen was at June's house baking muffins. I was alone, which was good, because there are some truths children should not have to watch their mothers count. 3 weeks later, my mother rang my doorbell. I saw her through the peephole and almost did not recognize her as someone who belonged on my porch. Cream sweater, soft waves, perfect lipstick. In one hand, a manila envelope. I opened the door but left the chain on. Leela, Mom, may I come in? Why are you here? Her smile faltered. I was hoping we could talk like adults. What is in the envelope? She glanced down. Some paperwork. For what? She exhaled softly, as if I was being difficult by asking what kind of paper she brought to my locked door. Your father and I need help. Whitney and Grant need help. The marina has had unexpected issues, and there is a tax matter that has to be resolved quickly. We are not asking for ourselves. We are asking as a family. As a family, I looked at the envelope. How much? Her eyes sharpened. She had expected resistance, not a number. $240,000. From Owen's trust. Temporarily, it would be a loan. He's 8. He doesn't need it right now. I stared at her. She kept going. People like my mother cannot survive silence for long unless they are the ones using it. It is sitting there, Leela. Meanwhile, your sister may lose everything. Your father put up collateral. There are liens, lawyers, penalties. I do not expect you to understand all of it. I understand liens. Her mouth tightened. You know what I mean? No, I do not think I do. She leaned closer. That money came because of a tragedy. Maybe something good can come from it now. That was the moment I almost closed the door. Not because she asked, because she had turned my husband's death into a funding source for Whitney's failed marina. Mom, I said, quietly enough that she had to lean in, you returned every photo I ever sent of that child. Her eyes flashed. This is not about the past. It is entirely about the past. People make mistakes. 19 times. She looked toward the street, waiting for a car to pass before answering, still worried about witnesses, always worried about the correct audience. I was hurt, she said. You shut us out. I unlatched the chain. Her face relaxed because she thought that meant victory. It did not. Come in. I led her to the kitchen, not the living room. The living room had Owen's drawings on the wall and a framed picture of Noah holding my belly the week before he died. She did not get that room first. She got the kitchen table because that was where paperwork belonged. Inside the envelope were 3 documents. A trust disbursement request form printed from some online template, a typed letter addressed to Patris Holland, and a 1-page family repayment plan with Whitney and Grant's names at the bottom but no signatures. The request said the money would be used for family stabilization in the minor beneficiary's emotional support network. I read that phrase 3 times, emotional support network. My mother had never heard Owen's voice. What exactly do you want me to do? Sign as his mother. Patris will listen to you. I am not trustee, but you're his mother, surely you have influence. On what planet would taking $240,000 from an 8-year-old benefit him? Don't phrase it like that. That is what it is. It is helping his family. He has family. June, me, his teachers, his coach, the neighbor who picks him up when I am stuck at work. He has family. My mother's face hardened. Blood family, Leela. I stood up. Blood family returned his face in the mail. The room went quiet. For 1 second, I thought she might say something true. It happens sometimes. A person gets close to honesty, and the air changes. Then she reached for her purse. I see you are still determined to punish us. No, I am determined to protect him. From his own grandmother. From a woman who remembered she was his grandmother when she heard a number. She slapped the table, just hard enough to make the papers jump. You have always been cruel when you have control. The old me would have explained. I would have said I was not cruel. I would have listed every photo, every birthday, every chance. I would have turned myself into a witness begging the judge to believe me. Instead, I slid her papers back into the envelope. Patris's office, Friday at 10. If you want to discuss Owen's trust, we will discuss it with the attorney and the co-trustee present. She blinked. You will come. I will come. Relief moved across her face so quickly it almost made me sad. She thought the meeting meant possibility. I knew the meeting meant record. After she left, I locked the door, took the blue fireproof box from my closet, and called June. She answered on the first ring. She came, didn't she? Yes, for the trust. $240,000. June was quiet so long I thought the call dropped. Then she said, Noah would have hated this. I know. No, her voice sharpened. He would have hated that you had to be the wall again. That broke me more than anger would have. I sat on the floor with the blue box in my lap and cried for the first time since the doorbell. June let me cry. Then she said, bring the box Friday. All of it? All of it. On Wednesday, my cousin Tessa called. Tessa was Whitney's age, lived in Athens, and had never been good at pretending not to know things. She and I were not close, but she had mailed Owen a birthday card twice, both times behind her mother's back. Leela, she said, your mom added me to a group chat by accident. My hand froze over the lunch I was packing. What group chat? Family Solution. I think she meant to add Aunt Teresa. I was in it for an hour before Whitney noticed. I closed my eyes. Tell me. I took screenshots. The images came through while we were still on the phone. My mother, she agreed to meet Friday. Do not push too hard before then. Whitney, did she say yes? My mother, not yet, but she will. Leela always needs to feel morally correct. We frame this as helping Owen's family stability. My father, how much do we ask for first? First. Whitney, 240 covers the tax lien and Grant's note. If she does that, we can come back for dock repairs later. My father, June Bell will be the problem. My mother, June is sentimental. We remind her Noah would want his son connected to both sides. Whitney, he doesn't even know us. My mother, that is Leela's fault. Then the message that made my vision narrow. My mother again. I returned those pictures because accepting them would have rewarded her choices. She needs to understand consequences eventually. Consequences? My son's face had been treated as a consequence. Tessa whispered, I'm sorry. There were more screenshots. My father, what about the returned envelopes? If she brings them up, my mother, we say grief, we say boundaries, we say we tried privately. Whitney, did we? My mother, Whitney. My mother again. The point is the trust is excessive for a child. He can still go to college with half. My father, this family is drowning. My mother, then Leela can finally do something useful with that money. Useful, there it was again. The word that had followed me out of childhood, into marriage, into widowhood, now reaching for my son. I saved every screenshot, then I called Patris. Send them to me, she said after I finished. Can we stop the meeting? We can. I looked toward the hallway where Owen's backpack sat on the floor, one sneaker tipped sideways beside it. No, I said. I want the meeting. Patris was silent for one beat. Then we will make it a formal trust review. My office, Friday at 10. June and I will be present as co-trustees. I will invite a representative from the bank that holds the account. Anything said there becomes part of my file. Good. Leela, she said gently, you do not have to prove they hurt him in order to protect the trust. I know. Do you? I looked at the blue box on my dresser. I think I need to prove it to the room, not to the law. Patris understood. Good attorneys usually do. The next 2 days moved slowly. I went to work. I reviewed expense controls. I approved a quarterly report. I sat through a meeting where a man named Kevin used the phrase, aligning deliverables, 9 times, and all I could think was that my mother had kept track of my son's trust more carefully than she had kept track of his birthdays. At night, after Owen went to bed, I sorted the evidence. Not the originals, copies, the originals stayed safe. Birth announcement returned, 3-month photo returned, Thanksgiving photo returned, first birth. Day returned, Christmas card returned, kindergarten picture returned, Father's Day drawing opened, viewed, returned, 3rd grade school portrait returned, 19 items. I added the screenshots. Then the trust summary Patris had given me with the current balance blacked out except the official name. Owen Noah Bell Irrevocable Trust. I added one more thing. A page Owen had filled out at school the week before for Grandparents' Day. My family tree. He had drawn me, Noah with a halo, because that was how children solve the impossible, June and himself. There was no Calvin, no Marlene, no Whitney. Not because I told him to leave them out. Because children draw the people who show up. Under the question, what do you like doing with your grandparents? He wrote, Grandma Junie makes muffins and comes to baseball. That page hurt in a cleaner way than the envelopes. The returned photos showed rejection. The family tree showed absence. On Thursday night, Owen came into my room after bedtime holding his dinosaur blanket. Are you sad? He asked. A little. Because of work? Because of grown-up things. He considered that. Grandma Junie says grown-up things are usually bills or feelings. I laughed despite myself. She is not wrong. He climbed onto the bed beside me. Is it about your mom? I went still. What made you ask that? I heard you say mom on the phone, not like when you talk about you. Children hear the floorboards adults pretend, do not creak. I brushed his hair back. My mom wants to talk about something that belongs to you. My baseball cards? No. My dinosaur book? No. Then what? Money your dad left to help take care of you when you grow up. He looked down at the blanket. Dad left me money? Yes, because he loved you before he met you. Does your mom need it? She says she does. Are you giving it to her? No. He nodded, accepting that as if the universe had corrected itself. Good. Grandma Junie says money for kids is not for grown-ups who forgot snacks. I made a mental note to speak to June about her metaphors. Then Owen leaned against me. Did your mom ever get my pictures? I could have lied. It would have been easier. But lies meant to protect children often become rooms they have to clean later. She got them, I said. She sent them back. All of them, most of them. Why? I breathed in, because some grown-ups make bad choices when they are hurt or proud. Was I bad? No. I turned his face gently toward mine. Never, not for 1 second. Her choices were about her, not you. He nodded slowly. Grandma Junie kept my pictures. Everyone. Then it's okay. It was not okay, but it was survivable. Sometimes children teach you the difference. Friday morning, I drove to Patris Holland's office with the folder on the passenger seat and the blue box in the trunk. Patris's office was in a brick building downtown, above a bakery that made the hallway smell like butter. June was already in the waiting room when I arrived, wearing her good black pants and the cardigan Owen called her serious sweater. She held a tote bag on her lap and had her mouth set in the line that meant someone was going to regret wasting her time. You eat breakfast? She asked. Coffee. That is not breakfast. She handed me a foil-wrapped biscuit from her purse. That was June Bell, ready for legal war, still carrying carbohydrates. At 9:58, my parents walked in. My father wore a gray sport coat I had not seen before. My mother wore navy, pearls, and an expression of wounded hope. Whitney came behind them in a beige coat, sunglasses on her head, phone in one hand. Grant was not with her. That told me enough. My mother stopped when she saw June. June, she said carefully. Marlene, they had not spoken since Noah's funeral. Patris opened the conference room door. Leela, June, everyone can come in. The room had a long table, 6 chairs, a wall of law books, and a speakerphone in the center. A woman in a blazer sat at one end with a laptop open. Patris introduced her as Denise Porter from the bank's trust department. My mother's eyes flicked to Denise. Good, an audience with credentials, exactly what she had not expected. Patris began. This meeting concerns the Owen Noah Bell Irrevocable Trust. Present are the co-trustees, June Bell and myself, the beneficiary's mother, Leela Bell, and members of the Mercer family who requested discussion of a possible disbursement. My father shifted. We didn't request a formal review. You requested access to trust funds, Patris said. That is formal. My mother folded her hands. We are not asking for access in some improper way. We are asking for a family loan during a crisis. From a minor's irrevocable trust, Denise said. Her voice was neutral. Bank neutral is a special kind of cold. Whitney leaned forward. Owen is 8. He won't need the money for years. We are talking about helping the family that will be the ray for him long-term. June's head turned slowly. Will you, Whitney blinked, what, be there for him long-term? Whitney looked at my mother. My mother stepped in. That is exactly what we want to repair. Leela has kept him from us. There it was. I had known it was coming. Still, hearing it in a conference room made something old and tired move in my chest. Patris looked at me. Would you like to respond now, or should we first review the request? Review the request. My mother relaxed slightly. Patris picked up the papers my mother had brought Tuesday. The amount requested is $240,000. Purpose listed as family stabilization, tax lien resolution, business debt, and support of the beneficiary's extended maternal network. She looked up. Who drafted this? My mother hesitated. I did. With legal advice? No, but with accounting advice? My father cleared his throat. No. With any documented repayment ability? Whitney's face flushed. We are good for it. Denise typed something without looking up. Patris continued. The trust terms allow distributions for Owen's health, education, maintenance, and support. They do not allow loans to adult relatives for business debts, tax liens, or failed private investments. Leela is not trustee and cannot authorize this even if she wanted to. My mother's mouth opened, closed, but as his mother, surely she can request consideration. She can request, Petrus said. The trustees can deny, we deny. My father leaned back as if struck. Just like that? Yes. My mother turned to June. Your son would have wanted his child connected to family. June's face did not move. My son wanted his child loved. We do love him. The sentence entered the room and sat there like a stranger. I reached into my folder, not dramatically, I had practiced this. Quiet movements, factual, no shaking. I placed the first copied envelope on the table. Birth announcement, returned, then the second. 3-month photo, returned, then the third. Thanksgiving photo, returned. I laid them in a line between my mother and the trust officer. No one spoke. My mother stared at the envelopes, as if they had crawled out of a grave. I placed the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, then the rest. 19 copies in chronological order, white paper, red stamps, my mother's handwriting, my father's address. My son's name rejected again and again. These are the photos I mailed you, I said. Birth to 3rd grade, everyone came back, most unopened. One opened, viewed, taped shut, and returned. My father looked away. Whitney whispered, Mom. My mother said nothing. I placed Owen's family tree page beside them. This is what he drew last week. Me, Noah, June, himself. He did not leave you out to punish you. He left you out because he does not know you. Petrus picked up one of the envelopes. Mrs. Mercer, have you ever met Owen? My mother swallowed. Not in person. Have you provided care for him? No. Financial support? No. Birthday gifts, medical help, school involvement? He was kept from us. Petrus looked at the line of returned envelopes. These suggest you were contacted repeatedly. My mother turned to me, and there it was again. The moment performance slips, and the real thing underneath shows teeth. You used those photos like weapons. No, I said. I used them like invitations. You returned them like verdicts. June made a sound under her breath. Pain, not approval. My father leaned forward. Leela, we made mistakes. I will admit that, but families heal. Your sister and her husband are facing serious consequences. Then they should face them with their own money. Whitney's eyes flashed. You have always judged me. No, Whitney, I have always funded the silence around you. There is a difference. I never asked for anything from Owen. You are asking now. She looked at the envelopes and, for the first time in my life, had no immediate reply. Petrus opened another page. There is also the matter of these screenshots. My mother went still. What screenshots? I handed over the printed pages Tessa had sent. Petrus slid copies to Denise, June, and my parents. My father read first. His eyes moved quickly, then stopped. Whitney took a page and went pale. My mother did not touch them. Petrus read one line aloud. I returned those pictures because accepting them would have rewarded her choices. The room changed. If the envelopes were evidence, that sentence was the signature. My mother whispered, that was private. Denise stopped typing. Petrus folded her hands. Mrs. Mercer, this meeting concerns whether the trust should consider a family-based disbursement. Your private statements about the child and his mother are relevant when the request depends on claimed family support. My father rubbed a hand over his face. Marlene. My mother rounded on him. Don't you dare act surprised, you agreed with me. He closed his eyes. There are moments when a silent person is exposed not by what they said, but by all the times they did not object. My father looked old then, not fragile, responsible. Leela, he said quietly, I opened one. I knew before he said which. The drawing, I said. He nodded. My mother stared at him. He kept looking at me. I opened the envelope with the drawing. I wanted to keep it. Your mother said it would confuse things. Confuse things, a child's drawing, a grandfather's chance. He said I should have kept it. You should have met him, I said. His face broke in a way I had waited 8 years to see and no longer knew what to do with. I know. My mother stood. This is ridiculous. We came here to talk about a temporary loan, and she has turned it into a trial. June stood too. June was shorter than my mother by 4 inches, older by 10 years, and somehow filled more of the room. No, June said. You came here to take from a boy you mailed back. My mother's face went white. Petrus said, June. But June was not shouting, she was not even loud. That made it worse. I buried my son, she said. Then I watched Leela raise his boy while you returned his face in envelopes. I watched her work, grieve, pack lunches, sit through fevers, and keep sending you chances you did not deserve. Do not sit in this room and call yourself his family because your debt got bigger than your pride. Whitney started crying. I do not think she was faking. For once, I think the math was reaching her. My mother gathered her purse. We will fight this. Petrus did not blink. On what grounds? My grandson has a right to know us. That may be a conversation for the future, Petrus said. It is not grounds for a trust disbursement. We are his grandparents. You are legal strangers to the trust request. That sentence landed hard. Legal strangers. My mother's whole life had been built around titles. Mother, wife, church leader, grandmother when convenient. Petrus reduced it to the only title she had earned in Owen's financial life. Stranger. My father stayed seated. That surprised me. Whitney stood halfway, then sat back down. My mother looked at me. Are you going to let her talk to me like that? I thought of all the times she had asked me to protect her from consequences. With money, with silence, with softness, with the version of me who would step between her and shame. No, I said. I am going to let the record talk to you like that. She flinched. Good, not because I wanted to hurt her, because I wanted one sentence to land without me cushioning it. Petrus closed the folder in front of her. The request is denied. I will note the denial and the reasons in the trust file. I will also note that future requests from non-trustees related to adult family debts should be directed to my office in writing and will not be entertained by phone. Denise nodded. The bank concurs. My mother laughed once, a brittle, ugly sound. So that's it. Leela gets to punish us forever because we struggled with her choices. I stood then, not fast, not dramatic. I picked up the copy of Owen's family tree. My choice was to love my husband and raise my son. Your choice was to return his face 19 times. Those choices are not equal. My father whispered, Leela. I looked at him. If you want to know Owen someday, it does not start with his trust. It starts with an apology you can say without blaming me for needing one. He nodded once barely. My mother did not. Whitney wiped her face. What about us? We could lose the marina. I looked at my sister, my golden child sister, my parents' joy. Now sitting under fluorescent office lights with her eyeliner smudged and her rescue delayed. I am sorry, I said. I know that is frightening, but my son's future is not your emergency fund. She stared at the table. Maybe she hated me then, maybe she understood. Sometimes those look the same at first. The meeting ended at 10:47. I know because Petrus wrote the time on the file note. My mother left first, heels sharp against the hallway floor. My father followed more slowly. At the door, he turned like he wanted to say something. My mother said his name without looking back, and he went. Whitney stayed behind for 15 seconds. She looked at the envelopes, then at June, then at me. I didn't know there were that many, she said. No one ever asked. She nodded, but the nod was not an apology. It was the beginning of a thought. That was all she had that day. It was more than my mother. After they left, I sat down because my legs had started shaking. June pushed the foil-wrapped biscuit toward me. I laughed and cried at the same time. Petrus gave me a box of tissues without speaking. Good attorneys know when silence is the better service. Denise from the bank quietly said, "For what it's worth, my father used my college fund for his business when I was 11. I wish someone had stopped him." Then she packed her laptop and left. That is the thing about telling the truth in a room. You never know who else has been waiting to hear it. The fallout came in waves. First, my mother sent a text. "You enjoyed humiliating me." I did not answer. Then my father called twice and left no voicemail. Then Whitney sent one message. "Grant says you're destroying the family." I wrote back. "Grant's debt is not Owen's family." She did not reply. By Sunday, the wider family had heard something. Not the truth, exactly. Truth takes longer because lies usually get the first ride. Aunt Teresa posted a vague quote on Facebook about forgiveness. Someone else commented that money changes people. Tessa texted me screenshots from another chat where my mother wrote, "Leela has poisoned Noah's mother against us." June saw that one and laughed so hard she coughed. "Poisoned," she said, as if I needed help disliking nonsense. Monday brought something I did not expect. My father came to Owen's baseball practice. He did not walk onto the field. He parked across the street under a maple tree and sat in his truck with both hands on the wheel. After the game, Owen noticed him. "Who's that?" I looked across the parking lot. "That is my dad, the one who sent back pictures. Children do not soften truth for parking lots." "Yes." My father stepped out, cap in his hands, and stopped 6 feet away. "Hi," he said. Owen leaned against my side. "Hi, I'm Calvin." "I know." That hurt him. I let it. My father swallowed. "I'm sorry I sent back your drawing. I should have kept it." "The grandpa baseball one?" "Yes, I worked hard on that." "I know." Owen looked up at me, then back at Calvin. "Do you like baseball?" "Yes." "Then why didn't you come before?" My father looked down at his cap. "Because I was wrong and afraid and listened to the wrong person." That was not the whole truth, but it was more truth than he had given me in 8 years. Owen considered him. "Mom says being afraid is not a plan." My father nodded. "Your mom is right." No hug, no demand, no grandparent performance. Just a man standing in a parking lot holding the weight of a drawing he had mailed away. When we got in the car, Owen said, "He seemed sad." "He is. Do I have to be sad too?" "No." "Good. Can I have pepperoni?" That is childhood. A truth falls from the ceiling, and then there is pizza. 2 weeks later, the marina problem became public because tax liens do not care about family image. Grant had failed to pay payroll taxes. There were private loans, unpaid vendor bills, and a dock repair contract signed with money he did not have. Whitney had signed some of it. My father had guaranteed a note. My mother had assumed Owen's trust would be the quiet solution because, in our family, quiet solutions usually had my name on them. This one did not. The marina went up for sale. Not dramatically. No sheriff on the dock, no movie scene. Just a listing, then a bank notice, then Grant moving boxes into his truck while Whitney stood in the parking lot wearing sunglasses too big for her face. I did not go, I did not celebrate. That matters. There is no joy in watching people hit the ground after you stop being the cushion. There is relief, yes. There is anger. Sometimes there is satisfaction in the clean click of cause and effect. But joy? No, because you remember loving them before you learned what they would spend. Whitney called me a month after the trust meeting. "Grant left," she said, voice rough. "I'm sorry. He says I ruined everything because my family couldn't get the money." Of course he did. Men like Grant are always surrounded by women responsible for the holes they dug. "Did you?" "No," she paused, "but I signed things I didn't read." "That is fixable, hard but fixable." Another pause. "Did Mom really send back all those photos?" "Yes." I knew she wasn't seeing him. I didn't know, I guess I didn't want to know. "Whitney, you benefited from not knowing." She inhaled sharply. "I know." Those 2 words sat between us, small, late, but real. "I'm not asking you for money," she said quickly. "Good. I just don't think I know how to do my life without someone fixing it." That sentence was the first time I heard my sister, instead of the role my parents had built around her. "Then this is going to be hard," I said. "Yeah, and probably good." I did not offer a loan. I did not build a plan. I stayed on the phone and listened. That was all I could give. It was also enough. My mother held out longer. Marlene Mercer could turn silence into architecture. For 6 weeks, nothing, no calls, no texts, no apology. She went to church, chaired a luncheon, and told people the marina failed because of predatory lenders and bad luck. Then, on a Thursday afternoon, an envelope arrived in my mailbox. No return address, but I knew her handwriting. Inside was one photograph, Owen's third-grade picture, the one she had returned unopened, except now the envelope had been opened. On the back, in my mother's handwriting, were 5 words. He looks like you here. Not an apology, not even close, but not a demand. June came over that evening and found me still holding it. What does it mean? I asked. She read the back. It means she knows how to write 5 words. I laughed, then I cried. June, put the kettle on. Do you want it to be more? Yes, that is the dangerous part. I put the photograph in the blue box, not with the returned envelopes, but in a new section. Unanswered things. A few days later, my father called and left a voicemail. I am going to keep going to the games, if that is all right. I will stay across the street unless you say otherwise. I am not asking him for anything. I missed enough. I know that. I am trying to learn how to show up without making it about me. I played it twice, then I called back. 1 game, I said. Bleachers, no gifts, no promises, no talking to Owen alone. If he wants to speak to you, he will. Thank you. This is not forgiveness. I know. It is access to 1 baseball game. I know. He came Saturday. He sat on the far end of the bleachers with his hands folded and cheered only when everyone else cheered. Owen noticed him in the 2nd inning and waved once. My father waved back like he had been handed something breakable. After the game, he did not push. He said, "Good job," and Owen said, "Thanks," and that was it. A beginning so small you could miss it if you needed fireworks. I did not tell my mother. Neither did he, I think. Or maybe he did, and that is why she finally called. Her voice sounded older than it had on the porch. "Leela, Mom, I saw a picture of Owen at the game. Of course, Hartwell still had eyes. He plays Saturdays. He looks tall. He is." Silence, then. I don't know how to do this. My mother had said many things in my life. I don't know was rarely one of them. Do what? Be his grandmother. A younger version of me would have rushed in, given instructions, built a bridge, made it easy, paid the emotional bill. I did not. "You start by apologizing," I said. She sighed, and I almost lost hope. Then she said, "To you or to him?" "Both, but especially to him. He is a child." "Yes, the child whose pictures you returned." Her breath shook. I was angry. I know. I was ashamed. I know. I thought if I accepted him, I was accepting that you had chosen another family. You were wrong. I know. There it was again. 2 words, different person, different weight. I waited. She continued, each sentence like it had to be pulled over glass. "I should not have sent them back. I should not have asked for the trust money. I should not have made your son carry my pride." I sat down because my knees had gone weak. It was not enough. It was more than I expected. Both can be true. "What do you want?" I asked. She was quiet a long time. "I want to send him a birthday card. No money. I know. No promises you cannot keep. I know. No pretending none of this happened." Her voice trembled. "I don't know how to explain it to him. Then write 1 true sentence." "What sentence?" I looked at the blue box. "Write, I am sorry I sent your pictures back." She inhaled sharply. "I don't know if I can. Then you are not ready." I hung up gently, not angry, not finished. Gently. Because sometimes the boundary is not a wall. Sometimes it is a door with a lock, and the key is truth. Owen's 9th birthday was 3 months later. A plain blue envelope arrived 2 days before. His name was written carefully, no return address. I asked if he wanted to open it. "Who is it from?" "My mom." "The picture one?" "Yes." He opened it at the kitchen table while I made pancakes and pretended not to watch. Inside, my mother's handwriting covered half the page. "Dear Owen, happy 9th birthday. I know I have not been in your life. That is my fault, not yours. Your mom sent me pictures of you for years and I sent them back. I am sorry I did that. You did not deserve it. I hope your birthday is full of baseball, cake, and people who make you feel loved. Marlene." Not Grandma, Marlene. That was the right choice. Owen read it twice. She said sorry. She did. Do I have to write back? No. Can I think about it? Always. He placed the card beside his plate and poured too much syrup on his pancakes. No music swelled. No family healed in a single scene. But Owen read it and he was not harmed by the truth. That was something. The trust remained untouched. It still sits where Noah's love and loss placed it, under the care of people who know the difference between support and extraction. Patris sends statements. June reads them with her glasses low on her nose and always says, "Good. Boring. We like boring." Owen still does not understand what the number means. He knows it is for school, maybe a house someday, maybe a life where the death of his father becomes protection in D of just absence. When he asks, I tell him the truth in pieces small enough for his age. Your dad loved you. Your dad planned for you. Some money is not for spending right now. Some gifts are promises. As for my parents, they are still learning what a relationship costs when money is not accepted as currency. My father comes to games now. Not every game. Enough. He brings no gifts. He sits in the bleachers. Sometimes Owen sits beside him after and explains baseball statistics with the seriousness of a tiny broadcaster. My father listens like a man trying to earn the sound of his grandson's voice one inning at a time. My mother has not met Owen in person yet. That is by my choice. And his. She sends cards, short ones, honest ones, sometimes awkward, never with money, never with guilt. I read them first. Then Owen decides. Whitney is divorcing Grant and working at an office supply company while taking bookkeeping classes at night. She calls me sometimes to ask questions about budgeting. I answer only the questions asked. I do not offer to rescue. She has stopped expecting me to. That may be the healthiest thing that ever happened between us. June still makes muffins. The blue box is still in my closet, but it has a new folder now. The first section is returned. The second is records. The third is possible. That last one has only 3 things in it. The photo my mother sent back to me with 5 words on the back. Owen's birthday card. A program from the baseball game where my father came and did not ask for anything. I do not call it forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I call it evidence that people can sometimes begin after the damage if they are willing to stop charging the victim for the repair. Here is what 8 years of returned photos taught me. Family is not the people who claim a child when a trust fund appears. Family is the person who keeps the photos before anyone knows what they are worth. Family is the grandmother who brings muffins and court papers. Family is the attorney who says no in a voice calm enough to hold the room. Family is the child who asks if he has to be sad and accepts pepperoni instead. And sometimes family can also be the man across the baseball field, learning too late that showing up is a verb, not a title. My mother came back asking for my son's trust fund. She thought the money was the door. It was not. The door was always there. She had been mailing the key back for 8 years. That is my story. 19 returned photos, 1 trust fund, and a little boy whose future stayed exactly where his father left it. If someone in your life only came back when they heard about money, tell me in the comments. Would you open the door, close it, or bring every receipt to the table? Share this with someone who has been treated like an account instead of a person. Subscribe to Hush and Tell Stories for more stories about family betrayal, quiet strength, painful truth, and the moment someone finally protects what matters. I will see you in the next one.